name is Kanyile. I'm a senior Unity developer. I develop your augmented reality and virtual reality applications. And this is my co-presenter.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Carista. I'm one of the applications engineers here at Modena, but I come from an architectural background. Okay, this QR code, just a quick one, for all the architects that are here, or architectural professionals, you can scan this to get your CPD points, I think with CAP and PIA, I think it is.
So this is the overview of what
Oh, sorry, do you need the QR code back? Okay, sorry, let's just, we changed it too fast. Okay, sorry.
Is everyone sorted? Are you sorted? Yeah.
No, mine doesn't read. Not too late again.
Okay, we will bring up the QR code again at the end of the presentation as well, if you would like to try scan it again. Okay.
So this is an overview of our talk today. I'll be discussing the importance and challenges of visualization in design and what real-time rendering is. And Clarissa will be speaking about your augmented reality and virtual reality. And there will be case studies, and we'll dive more how visualization enhances your design decisions. And we'll speak about Unity Reflect and how it helps with your design decisions. So my talk is how gamification of visualization application in the AEC industry help. How real-time 3D creation tools help with your design decisions. So, what is the importance of visualization in the design process? Every client has a project goal, whether it's a simple functional goal, maximizing views, or your energy targets, or improving existing conditions, plus sustainability. So, how clients do appreciate when they are part of the decision-making process. So the big question is, how do we get them involved in your design decision-making process? So the easiest way we can get clients involved is through rendering using your 3D software. So what are the benefits of using a 3D visualization technologies to engage with your clients? Is that they do appreciate when they're part of the design process, and having the 3D rendering already creating the 3D space, it will be easier for them to understand the client and what he needs and his goals. It will be easier for you and the client to understand each other's goals. Plus, having that kind of collaboration with your client, it speeds up the process of the initial phases of the design process. Right? So by understanding and speeding up the design phases, you can clearly focus on your design process and rendering. So as you're using your real-time technology to create your designs, it will be easier for you to catch and solve problems before they arise, because you have the 3D model already there for you to precisely see what the challenges and obstacles are, right? And it helps with precision And at the same time, 3D visualization helps to sell your design to your clients. Because we all know the saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So having the visualization will help you sell the product. But as much as our visualization and rendering helps, there are challenges involved with visualization. So the biggest challenge with visualization and rendering is taking the wrong perspective. So when you take the wrong perspective of what you're trying to show the client, it actually diminishes from what your design goals and so to create an immersive, believable visualization, using the correct angle will help, and it's increasingly important to have the right angle. So one of the other challenges when it comes to rendering is if your design is too futuristic. So because you're using a visualization technology, it's quite easy for you to miss the mark and create something that is hard to believe, you know. So,
but sorry, wouldn't that make it like? Because if you make it, oh, it's actually a good thing, because then you won't be held accountable for the building actually not looking as good.
I hear your point, but then how would you sell it to your client? Because your client will view this and like, nah, this is too futuristic, it's unbelievable, there's no way we can create something like this.
But it goes the other way as well. But then you don't want to show something that looks like it come out of the 70s.
Yes, that's true too. But yeah, so the third point is about your reflection prose. When you're rendering your architecture project, the biggest challenges is your reflections and how do you render the shadows? How do you show the shadows so that it looks more realistic? You know, and the mirrors, how do you make that reflection from the mirror so that your design looks more realistic? You know, that's one of the challenges of rendering. And the biggest challenge is the cost to company. Because each rendering is one of the important phases when it comes to design. And each process of the design you need to render so that everyone in the team understands what you're trying, like your ideas and everything. So each renderer will cost the company money, and I know the cheapest renderer costs around 7,000 in order to create a render. If you're using a third party, if your company doesn't have someone to render for you, that's how much it costs. So how do we solve all these issues when it comes to rendering and visualization? That's where one of the biggest challenges when it comes to rendering is the time it takes to render. Because it does take time to render your project. So my biggest question is, do you have time to render? How do we solve that issue you have? The biggest way we can solve your issue is by using real-time rendering technology. So what is real-time rendering technology? Real-time rendering technology is the technology you use. Basically what it does, it takes your 3D model, it turns it into a 2D, and then it displays it as if it's moving. So it's showing the 2D so many times it looks like it's happening at the real time. Yes. So that's the benefits of using real-time technology. You don't have to wait for your renderer. All the changes, you don't have to wait for your rendering, right? All your rendering happens real time. So all the changes you want to create, you can see them real time. Let's say you created an environment and then you just want to add a window to it and you want to see how the reflections and everything will affect the environment. You can literally do those changes in real time and you'll see everything happening in real time. So that's one of the benefits of using real-time technology. And using real-time technology, you can use your your virtual reality technology and your augmented reality. So what is augmented reality and virtual reality? Carissa will tell you more about this. Virtual
Okay.
reality.
Perfect. Before I continue, I just want to check, would you like to play your video?
So this video will show the power of real-time technology. Everything you see here, it was modeled. It's not a real person that you're seeing currently. It's a 3D model. And it's rendering in real time. Yes. It's not a real person, it's a 3D model. Yes.
No.
I'm telling you. Is it playing?
No, you've got to click play on your side.
It's not blinking.
No.
Is it playing?
No. Sorry, let me click on that.
But I know that lady.
Where from?
It's a model. It's a model.
It's a 3D model.
That's the thing with technology.
Okay,
So we're having issue playing this video, but if you have time, I'll show you the video after the presentation just to prove to everyone that this is not a real person.
Maybe try and reshare.
It's not playing.
I think what we might try to do is, I think after the presentation, we can stop sharing with each other, plug your laptop in and just play the videos for you guys to have a better view of.
Yeah, I feel it.
Okay, cool. Sorry, Sipo, I'm trying to go to the next slide. Are you? Okay, cool. Okay, so yes, I'm going to be talking about the augmented reality and virtual reality specific to the AEC industry. So one of the first things I'm going to chat about, sorry, I'm just waiting for the slide to catch up with me. Okay, so if you could just change it on your side for me, it doesn't seem to be working on my side. Okay, so one of the first questions could be, when might we actually make use of AR and VR specific to our industry? So there are some use cases that have been identified for this specific purpose. On the next slide, we get an idea of the different use cases. So we can use this AR and VR for stakeholder engagement, and this can be different levels of engagement within your stakeholders, from your high level to your sort of very down to detail level. You can also use the AR, VR tools for design support and design review. So that sort of links back to what Sibu was talking about in terms of having, your building as a 3D and being able to see changes in real time. You can also use AR and VR for your construction support. So imagine a laborer on site or somebody from the construction team on site who's sort of struggling to visualize how they want to build this very special type of entryway, actually being able to show them a 3D on-site and say, hey, as opposed to looking at this 2D drawing where you're missing the sort of 3D spatial quality, look at this almost hologram, effect of what we want to achieve on site. You can also use this in your operations as well as your management support and training. Okay, so on the next slide, so we're just going to focus on stakeholder engagement for the purposes of this talk. So if we just dive right into that, on the next slide, sorry. Before going into more depth of AR and VR, I sort of just put this image in to give us a visual idea of what is the difference between AR and VR. So on the far end of the spectrum, we've got AR, which is our augmented reality. This is digital content that we place on top of a real world view. So AR is creating an interactive but completely digital environment that provides a fully enclosed synthetic experience incorporating your auditory, your visual feedback, and it's often experienced with a head-mounted device. Then you've got your virtual reality on the other end of the spectrum, which is your digital environments that completely shut out the real world. So we're thinking kind of metaverse in this sort of range. So this is your digital layer that is superimposed onto, say, a physical world that's integrating all your real environment stuff in this digital space. Then in between both of them, we've got your mixed reality, so your MR. This is where your digital interacts with your real world. Okay, and then, sorry, bring the next slide. Okay, so specific to using AR, if we focus on that for now, AR can provide a more realistic representation of your built assets and can help generate more relevant or informed feedback from your contractors, your clients, your various consultants within the project. You can also better examine these built assets at real scales in an immersive environment that can provide a better understanding of your building, of your project, that's going to work better than just merely showing a picture or a video of what's on site. And because all your various consultants in this project can have a better idea of what's going on, it contributes to basically aligning the stakeholders' expectations of the actual design and the actual process. You can also visualize the future interventions on your construction site. So before you put in all the capital into actually building something, visualize in 3D, get your contractor feedback, your client feedback. Another very interesting thing from our research, we found that AR systems are actually currently being used to enrich cultural heritage sites overseas by overlaying virtual objects on cultural sites. So you've got pyramids in Egypt, or these cultural sites in Egypt where people go in, they can sort of have their phones, they download an app, and they can visualize what these sites were before they were touched by human beings. So that is one of the very cool aspects of AR. And if we go to the next slide, please. Using VR. So in terms of our stakeholders, this can relate back to, for example, stakeholder engagement in real estate. Stakeholders can get an idea of how the end product will look. And the nice thing about this VR is that they don't need any specific technical expertise to use this. You can give them the headset and say, this is what development's going to look like. This is how the driveway is going to look like, and really sell the project to them visually. You can also do virtual walkthroughs, as well as expand on your design buildability. So this can include several parties, from your clients, to your architects, to your engineers. The idea is that they can all interact in this unified environment, right? Okay. Okay. So one of the challenges of using VR. So we've said that AR and VR can both facilitate the communication of your design intent, it can enable design reviews, but similar to design supports, the main challenges of using AR and VR for design reviews includes the difficulty of translating these design changes to BIM models and recording the experiences and discussions that users have within these AR, VR environments, right? So what's sort of missing here is a two-way seamless and automatic communication between your BIM models used for construction and your AR and VR models. Okay, so the idea is we sort of want to bridge that gap. So on the next slide, I'm just going to expand on sort of three of the main challenges within this space of using VR. One is that it may not be sufficiently user-friendly in the sense of you may give your developer, say, a headset and say, this is what I'm designing, but they may have issues in terms of navigating around those spaces, so that requires a sense of training, maybe showing them how it works. It can be very self-isolating in a VR environment, so if we think of the way we host client meetings at the moment, you maybe sit down with your client with a pen and paper and you actually sketch out ideas, you explain things. But when your client or your stakeholders in this VR environment, it's very isolating. You're not really sure what ideas are going through their head, what's the experience like in there, what are they feeling. So there is sort of a barrier between their experiences being shared with, say, the architect, for example. So you're not quite, there's sort of that disconnect in that regard. Okay, so essentially there are three things that are stopping us from using this AR/VR technology within the AEC space, and that is the technical limitations, being that there's a limit in adopting the dynamic and the rough environments typical in the construction sector. So we're all just so used to having a physical site that we go to and going to site and physically telling the contractor, move this window, move this wall. We sort of haven't really embraced that digital construction environment in South Africa. There's also a lack of awareness in the technology due to poor usability. And also, you know, we would need to commit a large time towards implementing this technology, but also learning it. So there is a sense of sort of an unwillingness to accept this almost virtual substitute compared to what we have. Also, interestingly enough, there isn't a study that exists that can actually systematically map out how these AR and VR technologies can be used in South Africa, the potential benefits of them, the prevalent issues specific to the construction industry and this technology, as well as a future research agenda that can actually address any of these concerns. Yep, next slide, please. Okay, these are some really interesting case studies that were sort of identified. I'm going to hand the specific slide over to Sabu because he's going to be able to explain this better.
Yes. So when it comes to the first note, the Carlson RTKL company, they use virtual reality to actually see how when a shopper moves around the environment, his eyesight and eye line and movement, how he makes the decision based on how things are placed in the environment. They use the virtual reality to study how all that happens. And one of the benefits of virtual reality is that you can create your simulation environments there just to see how people will interact with the environment. So you have a better understanding and relationship of what you've created, which helps you create better decisions in your design process. And then the second slide. The second company, Zara Hadid Architects. They use your virtual reality and real-time rendering technology to see how the design will look and how the energy efficiency. So mostly when they design the building, they look at how they visualize how the lights and the sun and the wind, how it will all affect the building, helping them make better decisions and design a building that is way more efficient and yes. And then the AF infrastructure, they created a train. They visualized a train track. So basically, by them visualizing a train track, they were able to see all the constraints that might happen before the actual train is created. So how the rocks and everything will affect the train, how the train moves and everything. So yeah. Go to the next slide. So how real-time rendering helps with your design decision and communication. Real-time rendering offers fast rendering time, which allows you to regularly review your visualization design decisions. And it enables the appropriate design information to be accessible and understood by the client and the designer. And another benefit of real-time rendering in your design decision communication, it allows the client to enter the model scene and walk through the design in many views and angles of their choice, which is one of the biggest benefits of using real-time rendering. And the real-time model editing, the one I was speaking about earlier, if you want to change a certain how the window is and move and how the reflection and everything is displayed. So yeah, this is a video I was hoping it's not playing too, but after this, if you want to see these videos, I'll be able to show you. Okay, going to the next slide.
Okay, so I think the videos would have sort of aided in gaining an understanding of Unity. I think that explains it better than us sort of trying to use words, but maybe for now I'll just skip this video as well. and show it at the end. But that specific video was basically trying to capture the idea that, we also use these 2D drawings that we print out, take to side and redline. But the idea is that you can take that same 2D drawing with your footprint, and if you have a tablet, for example, you can replicate your model by holding your tablet, for example, above that drawing and actually seeing your building and rotating around it, sort of navigating around it in a 3D view. But we will show that video at the end, so maybe we can just skip to the next slide for now. Okay, this was a case study that's done by, so this is a project on 9 the Culp Street by Shop Architects. So Shop Architects made use of, they are using Revit software, but specifically they made use of Unity Reflect. And this specific case study, they've built the tower that you sort of see going up there. If you do Google it after this, you'll see various images of it in its construction phase. But the whole idea behind Shop Architects using Unity Reflect was they really wanted to decrease their construction time that it takes to build a specific tower. So in order to do that, they created, by using Unity Reflect, that enabled them to create a seamless alignment between their design team and their construction team. And through using Unity, they could also customize and build a status tracking app. So we can see that this tower, or maybe it's not that clear in this image is a bit pixelated, but this tower consists of quite a complex glazing sort of facade system that's happening. And they needed to bring in specialized consultants to deal with this facade. Now, because in the way that we're used to doing it, you sort of would have your various consultants having meetings and chatting to each other and going through it. But due to the size of this building, they wanted to sort of decrease construction time and find a way to make it easier for their consultants to communicate. So through the status tracking app that they built in this project, at any point in time, any stakeholder could log in and actually see what is happening with the facade. They could view the details, they could view the way it's going to be constructed, they could view the various changes that were happening. So that was a big item on this project. They also used AR for their on-site construction documents. So for example, their design office would make changes. Their on-site technical guys on the construction site could view those design changes in real time and actually see how it was going to affect the construction site, thereby sort of navigating through the various problems that could come up on site. Sorry, I just have to explain one more point. I'm just going down my notes. So yes, as I mentioned, the technicians on ground could compare the design with the ongoing construction site by overlaying the shop designs with the AR sort of technology, which will be better seen in one of the videos we have. Okay, and then this is just a bit more around Unity Reflect. Sibu, would you like to go into a bit of depth with this?
So with Unity Reflect, it's an application you can download on your mobile phone or on your laptop. You can link it to your Revit and it acts as a plug-in. So all the changes you make in Revit, they'll be synced automatically to any Unity Reflect application you have installed, whether it's on your PC or mobile. So if you're using it with your computer, you can actually go to the virtual reality environment and see how all those changes look inside your virtual reality. And one of the biggest benefits of using Unity Reflect, it shows all the BIM information. All the BIM information, you are able to view it in Unity Reflect, and it maintains a live link to your original Revit model. So all the changes that you do in Revit, they will automatically sync to everyone who's downloaded the Unity Reflect application. And you can communicate and do all this. Yeah.
I just want to actually speak about something before we move on to the next thing. When we speak about visualization and we talk about things like Unity Reflect, I know the case study I spoke of was also around architects, but I wonder if there are any engineers in this room that are here at this talk. Any engineers? Okay. So a very cool example how this might be used in an engineering sort of sense could be if we think about the MEP guys. Maybe you're dealing with a really large-scale complex building and you want to do your piping. Now, do you really want to take your 2D drawings with all your pipes drawn on, go to site, try to figure out really, orient yourself as to this is where this pipe is going, when you could actually just do it in a 3D model? You could color code your pipes, take your 3D model to site, explain it better to your architects, to your other various consultants, and start making changes in real time. So that is just an example of visualization not being used in an architectural space. Okay, I think maybe what we can do now is you can stop sharing with me and we can just share those videos before we jump onto Q&As.
Do you know what's pretty cool is
Yes.
instead of having each person with a headset, you just view it on your phone in the meeting, like in the presentation.
Yes, you could. There's also a very cool, I don't know if you've heard about the HoloLens. So it's something that I think Microsoft has come up with, but it's this idea that you can get your people on site to actually wear a lens and actually visualize the building there before it's built. But in terms of Unity, you can do the same process with your tablet, dragging it across the empty site and seeing what that's going to become.
Or any mobile phone that has a camera, you can always augment the
So it's
reality.
augmented reality.
So there's no volume, I don't know.
Did you adjust it on your laptop?
Basically everything you're seeing here is real-time rendering and it's 3D models.
So this is all created in Unity, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything you're seeing is 3D modeling, real-time rendering. That's not an actual person, that's a 3D model.
So you said it's an application that you just download, you can plug it into your Revit. It's obviously a cost involved in it.
There is a cost.
Would you share that information with the cost involved and how we get a hold of it, please?
Pardon?
Would you share the information on how we can get more involved in acquiring?
Okay.
So I think the best way around that is to actually get in touch with somebody from our sales team specifically, so we can put somebody in touch with you. Okay, perfect.
Nah, you guys are lying.
This is a 3D model.
Nah. Nah.
I'm amazed by how they got her hair to look like so real.
That's not a real person. This is real-time rendering. The power of rendering things in real time. You can create such things.
So was the person created in Unity?
No. You can create your...
So the person was created as a user.
Yes, and then imported to use the real-time rendering technology. Okay, and this is one of the demos they use to show the power of real-time rendering. So all this is not real, it's a 3D model. So as you can see, there are many benefits of using your real-time rendering in your AEC industry. If you want to visualize your projects, you want.
So I wanted to ask this earlier. If Revit's cloud-based, you know, when you renders, because a big limitation is your computer's graphics card. And I know with Revit you can send Autodesk your views to render.
Yes.
Do you see something like that where all you need is something that has internet access and you
Yes.
can virtually use Revit and there are
Yes.
farms to sorry.
So one of the benefits of using Unity Reflect is that all the rendering happens on the cloud.
Okay.
And then it displays them, it renders them, takes all the cloud information and shows it to on your mobile. So all the rendering and everything doesn't happen on your mobile device
Okay.
or virtual reality. Everything happens on the cloud.
Just a question I have, sorry. So since everything happens in the cloud, right? Will your bandwidth, your internet connection bandwidth be affected by the rendering that you actually see on your device?
Yes, so for the initial phases, it will affect your bandwidth. But after you've downloaded it, it will use it as a cache. So all the changes are made. That's the only thing that will be added, but everything else will be. Okay.
There's one last video on the Teams.
Oh yes, I wanted to show a video explaining the Unity Reflect.
Yeah, no, I just want to find out, so how's the learning curve between Unity and let's say my Blender or 3D and see if we use those?
So when it comes to Unity Reflect, the learning, it's quite easy to use the software. It's basically a plug and play.
No, but I mean, don't you have to model with Unity and then you take it and use Unity Reflect or?
In Revit, you do all your modeling in Revit, and then Unity Reflect only shows.
So it's just showing your body plan.
It's quite
So
easy.
it's just like a rendering platform.
I have Derek here from Storevault. He wants just a quick 3-minute presentation, just to let you guys know what it is that he has in his little array of things he has. Off you go.
Thanks. So sorry guys, I know we're all pressed for time, it's going to be very quick. Hopefully with what I've got, I'm not going to do a presentation, just a quick chat. Hopefully what we've got might add some value to you. If it does, just come and chat to me, I'm going to be in the room over there, right? So we've been chatting with Modena just about what are the industries that you guys play in, and potentially one of our services might have some collaboration. So I'll explain what we do. So we give the ability to have our cloud storage represented as a local NAS. So, and the advantage that we do over standard NAS is that we're able to stream our data down. So we get near online performance, but with the cloud, with the storage being obviously in the cloud, right? So where we've got really big uptake and really big usage is with media houses. So the challenge with media houses in particular is that they've got these large data sets which they need to share and collaborate on. But we can't use OneDrive, we can't do email, we can't do those things. So generally what they do is they'll take the data, they'll put it on a hard drive, they'll ship it down to the sound editor or whoever needs to do some editing, they will edit it, they'll put it back on the hard drive and courier it back. Now the risk that brings is delay in time, and what if the drive is lost or broken? Now traditionally these files are not being able to be collaborated or used on in the cloud because of latency issues. But due to the fact that we can stream the data down, and it is represented as a drive letter, with a folder structure, with permissions, we can now share, collaborate, and work on files, regardless of the size, with no performance degradation. And we can share the access to that information or that data internally as well as externally. And the way that it is licensed is very simply, you just pay per capacity that you use within the cloud, and it's got unlimited users. So you can have 10, 20, 30 people collaborating on any particular data, internally as well as externally. So quite simply, it just gives you the ability to collaborate and share and use large data files in the cloud. So that's going to be it for now. If there is any interest and you want anything, any further information, I know that everybody's pressed for time, so I don't want to take too much of it. Please come and chat to me. I'll be in the room back there. I can give you a business card. We can have a chat. I can send you further information. Thanks for your time, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day.